welcome back. Recently on the channel we did a comparison video between the Trangia and Firebox gas burners that fit nicely into the Firebox stoves. And in that video we came away not really that enthusiastic about the Firebox burner. Well, Firebox seems to have felt the same way because they reached out to all of us that purchased it on the first production run and provided an updated part. So we've installed that part, we're ready to test it. We're going to boil some water to see if the boil test is any faster. We're going to let you know what we think about it and see if this actually improves the burner. All right, our first test is going to be the boil test. We're going to boil 32 ounces of water, see how long it takes. We're using butane, and if you recall the last test we did, it took circa 9 minutes. I'll post it below once I see what the actual time was. But let's get this going. Now, one thing, it's a pretty windy day here, and this is already burned out once. And if you recall from the first video, this was incredibly impacted by the wind. So I think that remains the case, but let's get it started, let it warm up a second. Then we'll get the water on, and I can already hear the wind is impacting this thing. In fact, it's just burned itself out. Again. So let's turn that. So the wind is still a problem for this burner. All right, this is wide open. It's not a super strong breeze, it's a little breezy. And this is already burned out multiple times, or blowing out, I should say. So I would say that the wind is a super impactful. This is a relatively new cartridge of butane. It's over half full. It's on a rapid boil, and this thing won't even stay lit. All right, well, already we've run into some problems here. When we did the first burn with the modifications in place, we got by far the best flame, the best blue flame pattern by having the air inlets wide open, so completely uncovered by the new adapter piece. This would not stay lit. I mean, we've got some breeze today, we've moved the stove different directions, but it kept blowing the burner out. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to close off the air inlets just a little, maybe 30%. Okay, things are cooled down. My fingers are crossed. We have adjusted the burner air inlets to try to stop the wind from affecting it so much. So let's get this relit. We've got it wide open. And the temperature here today is in the 50s, so the fuel shouldn't be compromised. Let's get the pot on. Start the timer. And see how it does with the vents closed. If you can see in there, you can see the flames flying everywhere like the last test. Now this did perform. I mean, the flame was really nice in my garage. It was a nice compact condensed flame. It was very blue. Now closing off the vents, I can see more yellow, and the wind is just playing havoc with this thing again. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to let it boil the water as long as it stays lit and see how long that takes. And then we'll talk about what the modifications were and whether I think this is an improvement or where we're at. All right, I just wanted to show you in a controlled environment the burn pattern and what this is doing at this point. So this is with the air holes wide open, and on the original instructions that came with it, between 50% and 100% open gives you the burn pattern of a normal gas burner. So this is only about half open on the butane bottle. Let me turn it all the way up. Wide open. Let's just adjust it a little bit to show you the difference. Whoa, so that pushed it to about 50%, and you can see it's a very inefficient burn. We've got a lot of yellow. As you go further, you get a, I guess what Steve describes as a campfire-like burn, although I'm not sure why you would ever want to waste your fuel. to make it look like a campfire. But anyway, that is something that you can do by modifying the air-fuel ratio, and that's nearly closed all the way. And then again, there's about between 70 and 100%. So that's what you get in a controlled environment, and that's wide open. So let's take a quick look at what the modification is that Firebox has sent out to all the early adopters. So originally, the way that you managed the airflow in and out of the stove was via basically just a little hose clamp that was attached around the burner body. So they've had us remove that, and to change this you needed a pair of pliers. So they had us remove that by taking off the burner cap, installing this new piece that allows you to essentially just use your hands or that screwdriver when it was hot, and you can modify the airflow as you go. Now, truly, I think once you set it to where you like it and where it burns the best, you probably don't mess with it a lot unless you do like that yellow flame that we saw in the garage and sort of that campfire effect. But so that's all it was they changed the way that you regulated air through the air feeds. Okay, we're getting very close to our boil now, and if you recall, I have this set for 211 degrees, just given our elevation. That is a good boiling point. There we go. So we are at our boil, and I don't know if you can see this, but that's 10 minutes 43 seconds to bring 32 ounces of water to a boil. It's actually worse than the last time. So just to give you a reference, last time the ambient temperature was about 20 degrees colder, but the wind wasn't blowing quite as much. But this thing was really impacted. By closing down that vent a little, we were able to keep it burning. It didn't blow out, but certainly it did take some time to boil this water. But candidly, given this result, I don't think it changes my view at all. If you want a burner to fit inside of your Firebox specifically, I would still say go with the Trangia all day long. If you're looking for a budget burner to take as a backup in case you can't find wood or the wood's wet or anything, I still think there are better options at this price range, and I will link those below. Sorry, Firebox, I was really hoping, I had my fingers crossed that this would make a difference, but I just think the shape of the burner, and very much like a Snow Peak, it's shaped like the Snow Peak, and those get dinged a bit for their wind resistance or lack of wind resistance. I think this is just a much cheaper version of the Snow Peak design, and it just can't handle the wind. Now, if you're somewhere where you can cook in a protected environment, if you carry windshield or a shielding device for wind and that kind of thing, then perhaps this would perform better. But if you're carrying all that, why not just buy the Trangia? Anyway, those are my results. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you appreciate me giving it the old college try. So even though I'm not a big fan of this particular burner, I do give Steve and the folks at Firebox a lot of kudos for actually reaching out, sending this new part that does make it easier to use this burner. And every time I've had any issues or questions about Firebox products, they have been Johnny on the spot to get it resolved. And if you like the content, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, share it with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and as always, take care, and we'll see you outdoors.